Hey guys, welcome to GCT, where I read out the best stories on Reddit, so you don't have to. The funny, shocking, and satisfyingly juicy. Today's Crazy Karen Tuesday, where we encounter Karens in the wild. Somebody in my old neighborhood wants a free house. Our first story comes from the Entitled People subreddit. Posted by Sir Honeydip. I found a letter in the mailbox when my wife and I listed our house last year. I've redacted any identifying information. Hey neighbour, I hope this letter finds you well and in good spirits. I write this confident that it will find its way to someone willing to help me fulfill a very lofty goal. Over the years, I've longed to live in and raise my children and grandchildren in a safe, friendly, energetic, peaceful and clean neighbourhood with good schools. I've often pondered what it'd be like to live on the other side of the tracks, literally. On my way home from work, I'd veer off through the neighbourhoods of Redacted and imagine having a home here in this thriving neighbourhood. It was always the truth for me. I earnestly believed that one day I would make it happen. Unfortunately, I haven't. I've worked my tail off and managed to work my way through many obstacles, but haven't hit that pinnacle. I do well for myself and live a well-rounded, happy life, and I'm uber grateful for what I have. I just don't think I'll ever be able to afford a home in this neighbourhood on one income, especially with the market being the way it is and no end in sight, unless something marvellous happens. Therefore, I'm reaching out to the community to find out if there is anyone out there that would like to donate a home to me or sell me one at a ridiculously low price. I know, the audacity. Well, at least they're self-aware. But there are those with abundance looking to bless someone. I see it every day. I even participate where I can. I promise to be a good neighbour and love it and appreciate it for the rest of my life. I realise that this is a radical idea, but who knows what's out there? Someone that has way more than enough and would love to pass their home to someone that simply asked. Someone that has 2 houses and is ready to move to their warm weather home and doesn't need to turn a profit. Or someone that's just sick of humans and is going off grid. Or just wants to pay it forward and could write it off. Maybe someone that bought a fixer-upper and life changed. I'm very handy. I am getting older though. Or maybe someone that just hit the Powerball and is leaving everything behind. Maybe you know someone with a house somewhere else, in a community just as lovable. Please do pass this letter on, you never know. So here I am, asking. My dad always said, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. I'm currently renting in Redacted, and I love it, but with constant rent increases, that might not last much longer. I've worked for Redacted for almost 20 years. Well, when I started passing out this letter I did. Unfortunately, I was part of their layoffs this week. I've attended a women's group in Redacted for 15 years as well. All part of the reason I've intentionally left my name out of this, hoping to save face for now. I made an email for responses to this letter. Please, no hurtful or hateful messages. I've seen the nasty comments on the forums, and I assure you that I'm a good person with a good heart and good intentions. I'll provide you with my full name, address, references, background check, no resale contract, you name it, should you find interest in my request. Otherwise, thank you for simply reading. So long for now. Turns out there's 15,000 homes in Redacted, so I have a lot of work to do. Serious inquiries only. Redacted@gmail.com. Gotta love that optimism. Entitled Parent says free ride not good enough. Posted by Gold Marine Gold 649. This happened a couple of years ago. A new family moved in a couple doors down with a son the same age as my youngest. We live in the boondocks, 3 kilometers from the nearest school bus stop. Parents would drive their kids to the stop and wait in the car until the bus comes. There's no streetlights, with bears and cougars. After a while, we became friendly, even though the mum was loud and spoke aggressively. The rest of my family didn't like her, and we discussed our transportation plans. I'm lucky enough that my disabled brother takes my kids to the bus when my husband and I work. My neighbour asked if my brother would consider picking up her son as well on the way by, and she would pay him $20 a month. He agreed and was feeling pretty proud of having a job. 2 months later, he told me that she'd offered to pay more, $40 a month. He was very pleased about that. Being in the boonies, we had to drive down their very dark, narrow driveway, then turn around in a very small area in front of their house to go back out. It was difficult. If my brother wasn't feeling well, other family members took up the driving duty and picked up the other child, no matter what. Our whole family was happy to help my brother with his job. Sometimes the child was sick and they didn't let us know. Sometimes he was still asleep and we were waiting. Sometimes the parents were even at home and they didn't take their own child. The parents always left earlier, and the child, around 8 to 10 years old, was left alone until we arrived for pickup. This went on for almost 2 years. The second year, she contacted us and offered to bring over a cheesecake at Christmas time as a thank you to my brother. I said that was very kind, but she didn't have to. I'm sure my brother would like it. I can't eat dairy, but very kind. She said non-dairy. I said again, not necessary, but a kind thing. She never brought over anything, not even a card. I wonder if she's actually paying him, or just saying that she is. You know, like one of those people who like to say they'll do this or that and take the thanks and credit, but never actually follow through. My brother got no contact from her directly to be thanked at all. So one day, I get a text from the neighbour that she wasn't happy with her son riding our work truck to and from the school bus, that there were tools that had to be moved over so that he could sit. I was flabbergasted. We all live on a steep hill, so having a big truck with four-wheel drive is the safest vehicle we owned. Snow, ice, rain, you name it. The drive took less than 10 minutes. So what if we had to push tools out of the way so that he could sit? I was fuming over her presumption when I had a conversation with my brother about her paying him $40 a month, and he told me that she only paid him twice, maybe 3 times, it's been a few years, I can't remember exactly, the whole time, and never paid him $40 at all. It was just the $20 payments. Called it. I was furious that he hadn't mentioned it before, and that she'd been taking advantage of the whole family for almost 2 years. Our family had bent over backwards for this child. Even if my own child wasn't going to school, we would get up and go get the neighbour's child. So I texted the entitled neighbour, me. So I just talked to my brother, and he told me that you've only paid him 2 or 3 times in the last 2 years. Can you please explain? I'm confused. The agreement was $20 a month, then you offered $40. What's going on? Entitled neighbour, I can't remember her exact words, but no apology, no offer of payment, just, I offered to bring you a cheesecake at Christmas, but you said you didn't want one. I didn't say that. I said that she didn't have to. Me, being a humble country person, I fully expected her to bring one. There's a word for this kind of manipulation. I can't remember what it's called. Something starting with R? I saw it in a psychopath documentary that cult leaders use it. They'd constantly say things like, I'd die for you, and then eventually they'd ask, would you die for me? Relying on people's sense of obligation to return the favour. A favour that they never actually did. Do you think that all these Karens are just like less violent psychopaths? I then told her we, under no circumstances, were going to continue this way. I said payment had to be made. We had to be given notice if the child wasn't going to school, that he had to meet us at the top of his driveway instead of us battling our way down their driveway, that if the parents were home, they took him, and that we're still going to be taking our work truck most of the time. I didn't want to deal with that family anymore, so I just said every demand I could think of, knowing her personality would blow up. Entitled neighbour, he'll get picked up at our door if I say he's going to be picked up at our door. I knew there was no way they were going to back pay the fees, as they were constantly complaining about money. So I said, well, this isn't working for us, so you'll have to make other arrangements as we'll no longer be driving your son. Consider the last 15 months a gift from our family to yours, and we'll just leave it there. Entitled neighbour, How are we supposed to get our son to the bus? We need someone to drop him off and pick him up at the end of the day. We'll be at work. Why are you being such a hard ass? I ignored and blocked her. I didn't speak to her family for years. I was furious at her outrageous entitlement. My friend said it the best. What pisses me off the most is people who get something for free, then feel entitled to it for free, then complain that what they're getting for free isn't good enough for them anymore. The family changed their son's school back to the private school he'd been at before, which was closer to their work. They can afford private school, but not $40 a month? Edit. I remember more now. Her response to me asking about the payment was, well, he never asked for it. Imagine if you had to ask for your pay each week, and if you didn't, your employer would just not pay you. Remember, I post new content every day, so subscribe for more juicy tea.